Harley-Davidson is one of the most iconic motorcycle brands in the world, but with that fame comes a lot of myths, half-truths, and outdated assumptions. Whether you're a die-hard Harley fan or someone who's never thrown a leg over one, chances are you've heard a few of these misconceptions. From performance myths to rider stereotypes, it's time to set the record straight. Let's break down the most common Harley-Davidson myths that just won't die and reveal the real truth behind the legend. Harley riders don't wave because they think they're too cool. There's a long-standing stereotype that Harley riders don't wave because they're too cool or think they're somehow above other motorcyclists. It's an assumption often made by newer riders or those outside the Harley community who interpret the lack of a wave as arrogance. But the reality is far less dramatic and far more human. The vast majority of Harley riders do wave. They share the same love for the open road and the same unspoken bond that comes with two wheels. So, what about the ones who don't? It's rarely about brand loyalty or some imagined hierarchy. Sometimes they simply didn't see you. Maybe they were in the middle of a shift, navigating a rough patch of road or momentarily distracted. And yes, occasionally it comes down to attitude, just like with riders of any brand. But that's not a Harley thing. That's just a person thing. Motorcycling is a universal experience, no matter what you ride. Whether you're cruising on a $30,000 Harley or breaking in a $3,000 beginner bike, that quick flick of the hand is more than a gesture. It's a symbol. It says, "I see you. Ride safe. We're in this together." Reducing someone's silence to snobbery oversimplifies a shared culture rooted in mutual respect. At the end of the day, if someone can't be bothered to offer a wave, maybe that's more a reflection of them than of the patch on their jacket or the logo on their tank. You can fix any Harley with a hammer and a beer. It's one of the most persistent and colorful myths in motorcycle culture, that all a Harley rider needs to keep their bike running is a hammer in one hand and a cold beer in the other. This gritty, grease-under-the-nails image is rooted in a real history, especially from the days of the AMF-era Harleys, 1969 to 1981, when reliability issues forced riders to become roadside mechanics out of necessity. Back then, bikes were simpler, carbureted machines with minimal electronics, and riders could often MacGyver their way home with some duct tape, elbow grease, and a few choice words. But fast forward to today, and that romanticized version of Harley wrenching is mostly a thing of the past. Modern Harley-Davidsons are sophisticated machines, packed with advanced tech like electronic fuel injection, throttle-by-wire systems, anti-lock brakes, infotainment displays, and ECU-controlled engine mapping. These aren't bikes you can just smack into submission or patch up with a socket set and a six-pack. Diagnosing even minor issues often requires digital diagnostic tools, specialized software, and knowledge of modern engine electronics. You can't just wing it with a hammer unless you're looking to cause more damage than you fix. Even routine maintenance now requires precision tools like torque wrenches, factory-spec parts, and a good understanding of how everything connects under the surface. Of course, there's still a pride in being hands-on with your bike. Harley riders have always valued self-reliance. But in 2025, smart wrenching means educating yourself, using the right tools, and maybe saving the beer for after the job's done. The old-school attitude still matters, but keeping your Harley running right today takes more brains than brawn, and definitely fewer hammers. Only Harley riders are real bikers. Few myths divide the motorcycle world more than this one: the belief that you're not a real biker unless you're riding a Harley-Davidson. It's an attitude that's lingered for decades, often passed around at bike rallies, bars, or roadside pit stops, where you might overhear someone with a leather vest and a loud exhaust dismissing a rider on a sport bike or a dual sport as somehow less authentic. But this mindset isn't just outdated, it's harmful to the riding community as a whole. The truth is, being a real biker has absolutely nothing to do with the emblem on your gas tank. It's about the spirit of riding, the miles you've earned, the roads you've conquered, the dedication to your machine, and the respect you show to others, regardless of what they ride. Some of the most hardcore riders in the world roll on Hondas, Kawasaki's, Yamahas, or even 150cc scooters. They ride year-round, in blistering heat and freezing cold. They know their machines inside and out, fix them with their own hands, and treat every ride like an adventure. On the flip side, there are Harley riders who wear the patch, talk the talk, but only log miles between their garage and the local bike night, or worse, trailer their bikes to events, and act like kings of the road when they haven't seen more than 50 miles of it. Owning a Harley doesn't grant someone an automatic title of real biker. Earning that title comes from time, dedication, and a genuine love for riding. Riding is a brotherhood and sisterhood that transcends brands. If you're out there on two wheels, putting in the miles, and living for the ride, you're part of the tribe. Whether your engine was made in Milwaukee, Tokyo, or somewhere in between, what makes you a real biker is the passion in your heart, not the badge on your tank. Harleys are extremely reliable, no exceptions. Among die-hard Harley fans, there's a long-standing belief that these bikes are virtually bulletproof. Rugged machines that can take a beating, shrug it off, and keep on rolling for decades without skipping a beat. It's a romantic idea, bolstered by images of battle-worn bikes from old movies, cross-country tours, and tales of riders putting hundreds of thousands of miles on their beloved machines. And while there is a certain truth to Harley's reputation for durability, especially when it comes to certain well-maintained models, painting the entire brand as indestructible is both inaccurate and potentially dangerous. The reality is more nuanced. Harley-Davidson, like any long-standing manufacturer, has produced both mechanical legends and cautionary tales. The early twin-cam engines, particularly from the late 90s and early 2000s, are infamous for their cam chain tensioner issues, which, if ignored, could lead to catastrophic engine failure. Certain Sportster models earned a reputation for electrical quirks and unpredictable gremlins, while the Buell-powered Harleys, though innovative, were plagued with harsh vibration and build quality complaints that turned off many riders. Even Harley's newer models, as solid and refined as they are, rely heavily on proper maintenance. These bikes demand consistent care, regular oil and filter changes, primary and transmission fluid checks, belt inspections, and attention to torque specs. Neglect any of these, and even the toughest touring rig can quickly become unreliable. Harleys aren't immune to the same wear and tear that affects every motorcycle on the road. In truth, reliability isn't something that comes stamped on the gas tank. It's earned through solid engineering, smart upgrades over time, and, most importantly, how well the owner maintains and respects the machine. A Harley can go the distance, but like any high-performance machine, it won't take abuse or neglect for long. The myth of invincibility may sound cool, but it's no substitute for a well-stocked toolkit and a responsible rider who knows how to use it. All Harleys leak oil. This myth is one of the oldest running jokes in motorcycle culture. If your Harley isn't leaking oil, it's probably out of oil. It's been repeated so many times, it almost feels like folklore, with some old-school riders treating oil spots on the garage floor like badges of honor. But while this stereotype may have been grounded in truth decades ago, it's completely out of step with the reality of modern Harley-Davidson engineering. The origin of this myth traces back primarily to pre-1984 models, especially those from the AMF era, 1969 to 1981, when Harley's reputation for quality control took a serious hit. During that period, issues like leaky primary covers, poorly machined gasket surfaces, and inconsistent assembly practices were common. Harleys of that era often used antiquated sealing systems and venting designs that made minor oil seepage almost expected. Riders got used to carrying cardboard drip trays in their saddlebags, and marking your territory became part of the brand's rough-and-tumble identity. But times have changed drastically. The introduction of the Evolution engine in 1984 was a turning point for Harley-Davidson. It brought dramatically improved reliability, tighter machining tolerances, and far superior oil containment. That progress continued with the twin cam line, and more recently, the Milwaukee 8 engines, which are engineered with precision on par with top-tier Japanese and European manufacturers. These modern power plants are sealed tight, pressure-tested, and built with advanced gaskets, O-rings, and internal oil routing that make leaks the exception, not the rule. So if your Harley is leaking oil today, it's not part of the brand's personality. It's a problem. Common culprits include worn gaskets, loose or over-torqued bolts, or improperly installed parts, and they can happen on any motorcycle, regardless of brand. To blame Harley-Davidson for that in 2025 is like blaming BMW for the quirks of a 1960s Isetta. Yes, the joke still lives on in memes and garage banter, but it belongs in the past. Modern Harleys are clean-running, tight-sealed machines that don't need to leave puddles to prove their authenticity. If yours is leaking, it's not just a Harley thing. It's a sign it's time to break out the tools, not the punchlines. Harleys always break down. This myth is one of the more stubborn ones in the motorcycle world. The idea that owning a Harley means constantly turning wrenches, calling tow trucks, and leaving a trail of spare parts behind you. While it has some roots in truth, especially if you rewind to the 1970s, it's wildly outdated when applied to modern Harley-Davidson motorcycles. The origins of this stereotype go back to the AMF era, 1969 to 1981, when quality control at Harley-Davidson hit an all-time low. Cost-cutting, labor disputes, and rushed production led to bikes that often came off the factory floor with mechanical flaws. Back then, it wasn't unusual for owners to carry full tool rolls just to make it through a weekend ride. But that chapter in Harley's history ended over 4 decades ago, and the brand has spent the time since reinventing its engineering standards and regaining rider trust. Enter the Evolution engine in 1984, which marked a massive leap forward in reliability, followed by the Twin Cam and now the Milwaukee 8 platforms. These engines are durable, smooth, and capable of going well over 100,000 miles with proper maintenance. It's not uncommon to find seasoned riders who've put 6-digit mileage on their road glides, street glides, or electric glides without any major mechanical failures. Like any machine, these bikes require regular maintenance, fluid changes, belt inspections, valve checks. But that's true of any brand. What sets Harleys apart, though, is their simplicity and serviceability. Compared to modern imports loaded with sensors, ride-by-wire systems, and hard-to-reach components, Harley's air oil-cooled V-twin engines are refreshingly accessible. Parts are everywhere, thanks to a massive aftermarket and dealership network, and most repairs can be done by anyone with moderate mechanical skills and a good manual. Of course, no motorcycle is completely immune to problems. Abuse it, skip services, or modify it poorly. And yes, it can and will break down. But blaming the brand for that is like blaming a gym for a pulled muscle after skipping your warm-up. In short, the Harleys always break down myth just doesn't hold up anymore. Today's Harleys are engineered to last, perform, and take you cross-country and back, as long as you respect the machine. If you're constantly wrenching instead of riding, the issue probably isn't Milwaukee. It's in the mirror. Harleys are only good for straight-line riding. A lot of people still believe that Harley-Davidsons are useless in corners, that they're only good for highway cruising in a straight line. And while it's true that Harleys are typically heavier and built for comfort over speed, claiming they can't handle twisty roads is just lazy thinking. Not all Harleys ride like big barges. Take the Lowrider S, for instance. It's surprisingly nimble with a responsive chassis and mid-controls. The FXR is legendary for its handling, so much so that police departments used it. Even big touring bikes like the Street Glide ST and Road Glide Special have improved drastically, with better suspension setups and more thoughtful frame geometry. Harleys may not be track weapons like sport bikes, but they aren't clumsy tanks either. Skill plays a huge role too. Many riders simply don't lean or counter-steer properly and blame the bike. Throw on quality tires, adjust your riding technique, and you'll be shocked at what a modern Harley can do on a curvy back road. All Harleys are overpriced. One of the most common knocks against Harley-Davidson is that their bikes are outrageously expensive. You're just paying for the name, people say. It's true that some Harley models, especially the fully loaded CVOs, Road Glide STS, or Ultra Limiteds, can push well past the $30,000 mark with upgrades. But using those high-end models to label the entire brand as overpriced is like judging all cars based on the price of a fully loaded Mercedes. In reality, Harley-Davidson offers a wide range of bikes across multiple price points. Entry-level models like the Iron 883 or Street Bob 114 in the past were designed specifically to be accessible to newer or younger riders. Even if you're shopping new, models in the Softail and Sportster lines offer solid options that start well below the premium touring machines. And if you're looking to save even more, the used Harley market is rich with deals. Older Dynas, Sportsters, FXRs, and even electric glides are widely available at reasonable prices, often in excellent condition thanks to meticulous owners and easy access to parts. What many people overlook is the long-term value that Harleys provide. Unlike many metric bikes, especially sport bikes, that depreciate quickly and can feel outdated within a few years, Harleys tend to hold their value incredibly well. They have a strong resale market and a deep aftermarket that makes customization nearly limitless. Want ape hangers, stage kits, saddlebags? There's a part or 20 for that. You're not just buying a bike, you're buying into a global community, a culture, and a machine designed to be rebuilt. not replaced. Harleys are also built with longevity in mind. Their steel frames, air oil-cooled V-twin engines, and rugged construction are made for the long haul. It's not uncommon to see a well-maintained Harley still running strong after 10, 15, or even 20 years, racking up hundreds of thousands of miles with only routine maintenance and a few upgrades. So, are Harleys cheap? Number but cheap and overpriced are two different things. When you factor in durability, resale value, customization potential, and the community that comes with the badge, it's clear. Harleys may require an upfront investment, but what you get in return goes well beyond just two wheels and a motor. Harley riders are just old men having a midlife crisis. This cliché has been around for decades. The image of a balding man in his 50s, dressed head to toe in leather, straddling a chrome-laden Harley, trying to outrun the realities of aging with a twist of the throttle. And while yes, some Harley riders do fit that mold, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, reducing the entire Harley community to midlife crisis stereotypes is not just lazy, it's flat-out wrong. Harley-Davidson's rider base has grown increasingly diverse, especially over the past 10 to 15 years. The company has actively made efforts to reach beyond the aging baby boomer demographic, and it's working. You'll now find a wide range of riders: millennials, Gen Z, women, veterans, first-time motorcyclists, and urban commuters, all embracing the Harley brand for very different reasons. Affordable, entry-level models like the Street 500/750, Iron 883, and more recently the Nightster and Sportster S have lowered the barrier to entry for younger riders who are drawn to the classic V-twin sound but want modern tech and rideability. The rise of female riders in the Harley scene is one of the most exciting shifts in recent years. Women now make up over 20% of new motorcycle owners in the US, and Harley has embraced this demographic through dedicated gear lines, riding academies, and community outreach. Events like Babes Ride Out, Mama Tried, and the latest are thriving examples of how women are reshaping the riding culture, and they're doing it on Harleys just as often as any other brand. Meanwhile, the custom culture around Harley-Davidson has exploded on platforms like Instagram and YouTube. Influencers and builders in their 20s and 30s are resurrecting old Sportsters, chopping up Dynas, and turning baggers into high-performance machines. The scene is vibrant, edgy, and full of youthful energy, and it stands in direct contrast to the outdated notion that Harley is only for retirees with a pension and a pipe dream. Ultimately, people ride Harleys for all kinds of reasons: the visceral rumble of the engine, the freedom of the open road, the pride of building something uniquely yours, or the simple joy of joining a century-old American tradition. Whether you're 25 or 65, male or female, tattooed or suited up, if you ride with passion and respect the lifestyle, you belong in the Harley crowd. The midlife crisis myth may make for a funny meme, but it fails to capture the full-throttle reality of who's actually riding today. Harleys are super reliable because they're made in America. There's a patriotic assumption that because Harleys are American-made, they must be ultra-reliable, built tough with good old American steel. And while Harley-Davidson has definitely improved its build quality in recent years, this myth blurs the line between national pride and mechanical reality. Being built in the US doesn't automatically make something bulletproof. The truth is, Harley's reliability record has been a mixed bag. During the AMF years in the 70s, reliability was not a strong suit. Those bikes were infamous for oil leaks, loose bolts, and electrical gremlins. Even in more modern times, early twin-cam engines had significant issues, and the first runs of Milwaukee 8 engines faced overheating complaints. It wasn't until after 2010 that the company made serious strides in improving quality. Today's Harleys are much more dependable, but that's thanks to better engineering, not just because they're made in America. Reliability still comes down to design, quality control, and how well the owner maintains the bike. Harleys are built for speed. Walk up to a massive road glide or a shiny street bob, and someone unfamiliar with motorcycles might say, "That thing must fly." But Harleys aren't built to burn up the track. They're about torque, comfort, and the rumble of raw American heritage, not top-end speed or quick lap times. Harley-Davidson designs its bikes for cruising, not racing. The engines deliver low-end grunt perfect for highway pulls, not high-revving sprints. Sure, they have power, enough to haul riders, passengers, and gear with ease, but they're not made to compete with sport bikes from Japan or Europe. In fact, if you hop on a Harley expecting sport bike performance, you're missing the point entirely. What makes a Harley special is the feel, the vibration of the motor, the wind on your face, and the slow, deliberate connection between you and the road. It's not about being the fastest, it's about riding with presence. Harley-Davidson has built a legacy that's as misunderstood as it is admired. While no brand is perfect, many of the myths surrounding Harleys are rooted in outdated experiences or plain misinformation. Today's Harley riders are more diverse. The bikes are more refined, and the culture is broader than ever before. If you found this myth-busting helpful, hit that like button, subscribe for more no-nonsense motorcycle content, and drop a comment below with the wildest Harley myth you've ever heard. Ride safe and keep the rubber side down.